Yeah. So the objective of this session is going to be to understand what success means according to a BD person and learning how to track the progress to success. And this is also according to my experience, because when I recently shifted to this role as RMBD, we had very different metrics when how we were tracking our progress per month. And because like, as you would relate to it as well, that doing BD, the results take time. So how can you track that you're on the right path? And how can you track, like, how can your team leader probably track that you are doing things the right way? Because they cannot be tracking you only entirely based on like what kind of revenue you're bringing, because these things take time. So what is BD's final goal? You can just write in the chat. It's basically simple. Or you can just unmute yourself. Revenue, yes. Spoken like a true FNL person. Okay. Basically, sales is revenues. Most of it is revenues. PR people would disagree, but yes, mostly it is revenues. And sales or revenues mean success, according to any salesperson. And how do we measure or track success right now? I would like to know from you, what are the metrics that you use when it comes to tracking your success? Again, you can just go to this slide. Sorry, I'm doing it, but I want to make it like as interactive as possible. So you can see like the words popping on the screen, things like that. What else? It's okay, we can proceed. Okay, I see money, number of prospects, funds realization. Okay, nice. What else? Sales one, yes. Through sales funnel, prospect signed, revenue raised, yes. Partner NPS, wow, nice. Value of partnership, yes, of course. Number of prospects plus signed contracts. Amazing. I think we can move on. And as you can see here in this word cloud as well, we are even though we are working for the same organization, we're all working in ISEC. How we are currently measuring and tracking our successes as BD people is actually very different and very, very varied. So how can we all be uniform, even though like the reality is different, but we are still doing sales? So there should be like kind of a uniformity in how we are tracking and measuring our success rate. So basically, everything we do to achieve success is through the funnel. And there are like different types, different steps in the funnel, as you can see, as you probably know as well. So we approach the organizations, or we have these organizations that we really want to collaborate with. And then all of these people, all of the organizations out there, but we don't know if they really need our product, if our product is actually relevant to them. And then you kind of start filtering out per step, and then ultimately, even though it's going to be a very small ratio, it's going to lead to success. So what is sales funnel? Basically, a sales funnel is a visual representation of the stages that organizations, we, as I said, go through, and the external organizations go through when they're buying one of our products. So each sales funnel is going to be different. And according to ours, it's gonna be, first, it's suspects. And why it's called suspect is basically really simple, because you suspect, it's again Among Us terminology, that you sus them that they might require your product, but you're not sure yet. So you cannot count them directly as leads. And this is one of the biggest faults that I was doing as well when I was like starting my role. And we had all these metrics, okay, like I'm gonna contact this many leads per month. But the thing is, I don't even know if they are leads yet. So this is something that we as a sales team realized, that how we are tracking our monthly progress or how we are tracking ourselves and our funnel, it needs to be more defined. And we split it into 5 parts, which is like, okay, first approach, this is how many people I'm going to be first approaching. And this is how, and then you filter them as prospects. I'm going to explain it in the coming slides. Then you have qualified leads, and then only to the qualified leads, you're sending the proposals. So as a BD person, you're also kind of saving your time and energy in making all of those hefty proposals that are not even that relevant to a company. And then if you are doing proposals sent after your qualified leads, it's eventually, you will see that it's gonna, of course, save you time and money, time and resources, but also your conversions from proposals sent to the proposals confirmed is gonna be much better. And then yes, of course, sales contract signed. Okay, how do we move the organizations through the sales funnel? Just definition of each and every step that we have here. So when it comes to suspects, as I said, like in Among Us terminology, it's like you suss them as in you suss this organization that you think might need your product or service, but you don't know. It's just in your list, as you would see if you go right now to the global focus list or something, then you will see that there is, in my list, you will see like a huge list of companies. But right now, a lot of them are just suspects because I would like to approach them, but I don't know if they're prospects, if they're leads, because I have not talked to them yet. So they're just suspects. And okay. And the first approach, basically, when you have approached this organization through any channel, majorly it might be LinkedIn or email, cold call, or even event. And even through this, your ultimately goal, according to my experience, it should only be like, okay, you want to score a meeting just for you to talk to them, or just for you to actually hear from them how their current processes are like. So if you probably think that, okay, they might be a good company, or they might be a good prospect or a lead for GT, then you can be like, okay, or it can also be related to the role of this person that you're trying to approach. So if this person is working with HR, so maybe you can write them a LinkedIn message or something like that, that you want to know more about their entry level hiring or talent acquisition processes. And if it makes sense for us, then we can continue to talk about it. So you don't give them like an obligation, okay, like I want to tell you more about ISEC, I want to tell you more about what ISEC does, things like that. Your first approach should ultimately be for you to score a meeting where you actually get to know more about this other company. Then it's prospect, when you have already talked to this person in the organization, and now you know that they need your product. So according to my experience, I have this meeting with Microsoft CSR department, and we were not sure, okay, if they would be more interested, because it's CSR, it can be even, because Microsoft is a big company, it can even be HR, it can even be employer branding, because again, it's CSR, companies do want to promote that, companies do want to establish their brand as like a sustainable brand. So I was there with Fadia, and I was observing like how the meeting goes and everything, and we only let this other person from Microsoft talk entirely about like what he does, what his role is in Microsoft, and what they're doing as a department of CSR. And from those things, you kind of start to connect the dots, how and where you could find opportunities to collaborate. So if they're talking about, yes, we have this internship program where graduates or people in the final year of the university, they actually volunteer with us or they intern with us in our sustainability department, things like that. And you're like, okay, we have a program like this as well. Do you think that would make sense to you? And then they can be like, yes, we can have a look. And or they can even ask you like, can you tell me more about it? And you can just be like, okay, I can tell you more about it in this call. Or maybe you don't have a proposal prepared yet. You can work on it afterwards. So that kind of gives you pointers like what to include in the proposal. So you're not just sending them a brochure afterwards, like, okay, this is all that we do. Conferences, GTs, GVs, YSFs, Global Leadership Day. Doesn't make sense. The partner is just gonna be, possible partner is just gonna be overwhelmed. And most probably it's not even gonna happen. And also one of the things is like if you directly treat a prospect as a lead or as a qualified lead, then if you send them too much information, they would probably think that it is either too complicated or it's either too big for them, and it might not lead to the results that they want. Because in your context, if you're working on an entity's context, they might be looking for more, nationally targeted or like locally targeted initiative. And then if you're giving them all of these broad things, speaking from my experience, then they might be like, okay, this is too big and we more want to target it too, so it doesn't make sense to us. So just for us to be smarter and also save our time. When it comes to qualified lead, when the answer to the following questions is yes, do they have a need that I can provide a solution for? Is it a company that maybe told you that they do have young people that they want to hire, but their brand is actually considered as an old brand, an old-fashioned brand, and they're trying to establish themselves as a more youthful brand? So there you go. Firstly, they want to hire young people. GT. Secondly, they are also looking to establish their brand as a more useful brand. Bam. Employer branding. We have a youth market. Makes sense. Could be there. Again, it's not certain that they're going to buy your product, but they do have a need for your product. And very, very important thing. Do they have money and are they willing to invest it in the solution we can provide? This is also coming from my experience. A lot of times it can be like sales can be very, as you would relate as well. At times we can be desperate for results and we might propose a lot of things in a very small amount of money. And the thing is, if the capacity for paying, their capacity for paying is very less, then it's okay to, not give too much, but actually just give that is required. So it's always good to like, maybe in the future you can upsell that partnership, but also respect your products. This is very, very, very important. And do you know the decision making process? And if you can see from here, it is also according to the band methodology. So do they have budget? Do they have the authority? Are you actually talking to the right person? Or are you actually spending time with a person who doesn't really have, influence over the decision making processes? So in this process, you actually try to ask them. You will also learn it in the sales questioning strategy session, that how you can actually ask these questions, or you can ask it in a way, okay, who in making such decisions, who are the people that are usually involved in such conversations in your company? And they can be like, yes, I will have to also take it up with the finance team. And then you can be like, okay, that's amazing. Do you think in our next meeting, or maybe a person from your finance team can be present in our meeting? And there you go. Like, you're involving more people who have the decision-making processes and you're directly onboarding them with it. Okay, and then proposal sent. You uncover the prospect's need. Now you know what they need and how much they can invest. And now you know what to put and how much to put. And the more customized your proposal is, the more that they think, okay, this is for them and that they really need it. Because imagine the scenario, if you're sending them too many things or too many broad things that probably are not directly pinpointing to their pains, then maybe you have a product in that proposal that they would really, really require, but maybe it's in the middle or maybe it's in the end. And you have too many things before that. So it's a big possibility they might just be ignoring that, or they might not even read it because it's just too overwhelming. So make sure that you're customizing the proposal. You can have, talking from my experience again, you can have your basic, or you can have your own brochure, and then you just cut and paste according to the things that they need, and then you can customize it accordingly, and it won't even take that much time. And then you have proposals confirmed. They accept the proposal, and you send, and you have a written confirmation that they accepted the proposal. Because in the discussions, they can be like, yes, we really, really like it. And then you have nothing to go about. So unless you have a written confirmation that they accept the proposal, then until then, do not count as that proposal confirmed. Other than that, I would also like to add one thing, that once you are getting your proposals confirmed, how your behavior should be between this process, because proposals sent to proposals confirmed, it actually can take a lot of time. And a lot of times what might happen in a lot of cases is that you send them a proposal and maybe it's not according to their needs, or maybe this lead that you have got too busy, or they are tied up at the year's end or something like that, and they might not get back to you. So it's very important in this stage to actually follow up regularly. And I would actually like to share GIE's who is present in this call, MCVP BD from Malaysia. I've been working with her for some sales, and I would like to actually applaud her, because this is something that I've also learned from her, that constant follow-up is actually the key to actually making these things happen. Because a lot of times you will be like, oh my God, this is definitely happening. You had an amazing meeting and they want your product, and then they just disappear. And what are you gonna do? Like, you cannot go to their door and knock and respond to my email. It's not gonna happen like that. So one thing that I've seen her do, and which actually brought results, was like every few days she would write an email like, it would be great to hear back from you, and we are doing this, we are doing this. And it's just like, just make sure that you keep popping up on their screen. It might get annoying for them, but in most cases it is ultimately going to lead to a response from their side. And honestly, you would rather get a closure than just being ghosted. So yeah, I will just check the chat here. Wait. Yes, oh my God, that happened with module Asia Pacific, guys. Yes, I can imagine. In most cases they will get back, but if they're ghosting you, honestly, there will come a time when you can close it in a way that, okay, I we can carry this conversation when you have time, and I can keep you posted on the things that you're doing. And then you just close that conversation respectfully if they are not responding at all, because again, you deserve the respect and you don't deserve to be ghosted. Okay, how to track the progress to success. Number one is have clear goals. And this is the only point. There is no number two here. Have clear goals, because, and not only sales or revenue goals, but goals for each stage of the sales funnel. So this is what I was doing wrong as well in the beginning, that I was having just like, okay, this is how much revenue I'm going to get from new sales, and this is how many leads I'm going to approach. So I know this is how many leads I'm going to approach, but for that, how many prospects would I have to actually approach? This is also important, because you cannot directly jump to leads if you don't have the number of suspects or prospects. So that is very important for us to keep in mind. And then have clear goals: annual, semester, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, depending on your context. Of course, like, keep it weekly. This is what I would recommend. And if you can keep it daily, if you have more of a new sales role, then do that for sure. And do you have any questions? Like, you can write in the chat, or you can, yeah, we can just have it on the chat if you have any questions. Wave. If you have any question, you can also unmute yourself and ask, or if you would like to share anything. Okay, Harsh says, good to go. I will wait for 30 more seconds. Superb. Was this session relevant? I would also like to know from you. Or was it too basic? Did it make sense?
So yeah, I just want to know, right? One thing is like, if let's say we want to close, we won't want, we don't need to follow up again. It would be better that we send a closing partnership meeting, stop follow up.
This is actually what I was saying, that you would rather have a closure. So I can actually share like some of the email templates or some of the messaging templates that I use usually, and you can have a look. But it's always good to also let them know that you're closing the conversation on a positive base. So maybe because you don't know what the situation is there, why they're not responding, if it's like they're really not interested in your product, or maybe they have some event, or maybe they have some other situation. I had a situation where my lead got disappeared for like a month, and I thought like they're just not interested anymore, and I was following up again and again, and then I got to know that they have a death, they actually had a death in the family, so they didn't come to work. So it's things like this. So you always close these conversations on a very positive note, that they can always reach out to you in the future, like whenever they think makes sense. And yeah.
Thanks, Sumi. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. This is actually our last BD track session for the day. And our next session, let me check, starts when? I think it starts in 4 minutes. Let me quickly check. Okay, I will check. And at the end, failing to plan is basically planning to fail. So plan smartly. Do not jump the sales funnel. Do not just have the proposals sent directly or leads contacted. Of course, like you should have it in your funnel to track, but make sure that you have all of these things as well, so you can be more practical about things. And yeah, this is it from my side. Thank you. And let me just check what our next agenda is. Okay. Okay, so we have a break for, again, it's 30 minutes. So we have a break for 32 minutes, and then we have a lead space. No, wait. Yes, yes. Or if you want, you can also join the AP alumni space in 15 minutes. But I can update you on the group. Thank you.